Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. In today's episode, we have truckers from across Canada protesting the vaccine mandates and other COVID-19 restrictions with a freedom convoy that began in British Columbia and is making its way to the nation's capital with tens of thousands of supporters. This is truly a remarkable event that is taking place within Canada. The convoy departed from Vancouver and headed towards Ottawa in protest of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's vaccine mandate for all truck drivers crossing the border from the United States into Canada. The convoy has grown to a seemingly world record smashing length of 43 miles, according to a Freedom Convoy spokesman. To put this in comparison, the Guinness World Record for the longest truck convoy is 4.6 miles, which was achieved by a convoy in Egypt in 2020. The Toronto Sun estimated that when the convoy reaches its destination for a planned protest in Ottawa, it could be as much as 10 times longer than the previous world record. To put this in another perspective, the outlet reported that there are many as 50,000 trucks from Western and Eastern Canada participating, and even some joining from the United States. Along the roadways, there's thousands of Canadians who have lined up along highways to stand in solidarity with the anti-mandate movement. Again, truly remarkable what is going on inside Canada to protest these vaccine mandates. We also have images and video posted to social media over the last several days showing large crowds of people enthusiastically cheering the convoy, waving Canadian flags, and holding signs showing their support. We even have one protester from Ontario saying that the truckers and their supporters were standing up for their freedoms.
Would you be able to tell me what brings you out here today?
I'm out here because I think we have a right to choose whether we want to be vaxxed or unvaxxed. And they tried to divide us, but they can't divide us no more because we've become united, both the vaxxed and the unvaxxed people.
What do you say to the mainstream media who says that this is an extremist, xenophobic convoy? Do you agree with that?
Not
No, we're free. We're free to do and choose what we want to do. And that's what Canada is about.
And as far as the mainstream media, they got to stop the lying already because everybody is woken up and know that they are lying and not telling the truth. They're burying themselves. Yeah. And there's no trust. But we're trust. The grassroots people are trusting each other. They're not looking to the media anymore.
All right. If you have one word for Justin Trudeau, one sentence for Justin Trudeau, what is it?
You're toast, Justin. If you don't turn, you're toast.
All right.
We also had a GoFundMe account that was set up to raise money to cover the cost of fuel, food, and lodging for the protesters, and it has raised over $6.3 million, but the funds unfortunately won't be available until the donation page organizers show documentation on how the money will be properly dispersed. The Canadian Trucking Alliance issued a statement over the weekend saying it strongly disapproves of protests on roadways, highways, and bridges. Now, I kind of actually agree with this trucking alliance because I don't like when protests are conducting in the streets or in intersections like we saw from Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and they're sitting there and stopping the average American or Canadian from getting to their place of business, their work, picking up their children from school. I'm not for when protests do that. Am I for the protest? Yes. But am I for now blocking the average citizen from their daily commute or getting to the place that they need to get to when they could possibly lose their job for being late? I am not for that. Look, if I'm not for Black Lives Matter or Antifa doing it, I'm not towards the average person, even though I agree with what they're doing it as well. Quote, the vast majority of the Canadian trucking industry is vaccinated, with the overall industry vaccination rate among truck drivers closely mirroring that of the general public. Accordingly, most of our nation's hardworking truck drivers are continuing to move cross-border and domestic freight to ensure our economy continues to function. Truck drivers are a massive part of allowing an economy and a nation to function. Well, the organization stated that on their website, but the group estimates that about 15% of the Canadian truckers are not fully vaccinated, which is roughly 16,000 truckers. 15%! And Justin Trudeau's making a freaking big thing out of this whole thing. Look, 15%, just leave them alone, allow them to handle the freight they see fit, and get the stuff out there. But no. He wants to create a big deal, just like every Democrat, every leftist does in America. He has to get a big deal going because he wants the power. They love government encroaching on every citizen's lives in every way, shape, or form, and it's just another way of doing it. Trudeau has condemned the protesters, shocking, calling them a small fringe minority who are on the way to Ottawa who are holding unacceptable views.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
Next question.
I always love when the left say that some sort of people are holding unacceptable views. Unacceptable to whom? The left? Unacceptable to whom? The Democrats in America? I mean, the silliness of the left, specifically in America, the Democrats, and also those in Canada, is quite funny because, again, these are the same people that are supporting Black Lives Matter. These are the same people that are supporting Antifa, going into cities, burning businesses down, shooting police officers, killing police officers, and then saying, hey, we want to defund the police because the police are racist, police brutality, all these things. But, you know, the people that don't want to sit there and get a vaccine that has been mandated by their government are unacceptable views. This is their thinking. It's a little bit crazy to me. Look, if somebody doesn't want to get a vaccine, you shouldn't force it upon them. They don't want to get the vaccine. If somebody does want to get the vaccine, then let them get the vaccine. It's up to them. But you're going to sit there and say they're unacceptable views when you hold the views of wearing blackface at a party when you're younger? Whatever, Justin. Whatever, buddy. Well, as of Sunday, truckers and protesters showed up in huge numbers as the Freedom Convoy descended upon Ottawa, Ontario. Despite sub-zero wind chill temperatures on Saturday, Canadians mounted a large protest against vaccine mandates. Massive crowds peacefully protested against government outreach near Parliament Hill. You notice that it says peaceful protest, right? It doesn't say anything about lighting businesses on fire. It doesn't say anything about shooting at the police. It doesn't say anything about throwing, bottles of water that have been frozen at police officers, beating the shit out of reporters. It doesn't say anything like that because these people know how to protest. The left don't. Democrats don't know how to protest. When they don't get their way, they start beating the shit out of people. When they don't get their way, they start lighting businesses. They're all for the Black community until things go wrong, and then they're going to light Black business owners' businesses on fire and completely destroy their lives. But they don't ever want to talk about those things because it goes against the narrative. The CBC reported that Trudeau left the cottage early Saturday for security reasons and was transported to a secret location with his family. How convenient. He gets all the safety in the world, but his citizens are getting forced to take a mandate by the government that might disrupt their safety. Look, not everybody should be taking the vaccine. I'm for if you want to take the vaccine. I'm not against vaccinations at all. I'm vaccinated, but I don't think that it should be mandated upon somebody. I think it's absolutely wrong. Maybe there's truckers out there that shouldn't medically get the vaccination, but Justin doesn't care, folks. The Canadian government doesn't care. They just want to sit there and be power hungry, just like the Democrats and the left do here in America. Trudeau's press secretary responded, quote, "The Prime Minister is continuing to isolate in the nation's capital region and work remotely. We've been consulted the Ottawa Public Health on appropriate protocols. As always, we do not comment on security matters." Of course not, because it's not convenient enough right now. But when it's convenient, then we'll comment on it. That's how it works. There were thousands of protesters, many waving Canadian flags, and some were holding signs expressing contempt towards Trudeau, and rightfully so. I don't agree with vaccine mandates, and I'm sure many of you watching this don't agree with it. There were reportedly volunteers handing out food and coffee to the protesters, as well as people giving truckers gift cards, which was nice. Local authorities were forced to ask for backup from nearby communities as the crowd swelling in Ottawa. Now, this is actually a big deal because, remember, Trudeau says this is a fringe group. If you know anything about Canada, basically the population of all of Canada is California here in the United States. So when you have a massive gridlock like this and you have thousands upon thousands of people in an area like you're seeing in these video clips, this is a massive deal. This is not a fringe group. This is not some small thing. This is a massive thing going on in Canada. And what the government there in Canada is trying to do is they're trying to diminish this movement. Gridlock from the rally caused Ottawa's downtown core to come to a complete standstill. And police said there was no more room for vehicles. That's how many people swarmed the Capitol. One trucker explained that it isn't about the vaccine, it's about choice, freedom, and liberty. Quote, "We're all together. We're all Canadians. We're all truckers," he said. Well, not all, right? I mean, not everybody's a trucker, not to sit there and be nitpicky on this guy's quote, because I'm for what he's doing. But I mean, it is about the vaccine. It's also about choice, freedom, and liberty. But, you know, you're not all truck drivers. I get the kind of what you're saying, but, you know, in the heat of the moment, you want to think about what you're going to say first. But I digress. Well, the protests continued into the night with fireworks and a party-like atmosphere. You get the sense of very like patriotic, right? Almost American sense of what is going on. During a rally in Texas on Saturday night, former President Donald Trump delivered an endorsement on the Canadian truckers. Donald Trump had this to say: "We want all those Canadian truckers to know that we are with all of them all the way. They're doing more to defend American freedom than our leaders by far." Not the best Trump impression, but we miss the man. So I tried my best. Well, drawing from inspiration from their northern colleagues, a Facebook group named Convoy 2DC is calling upon all truckers in the United States to form a nationwide chain of semi-trucks and other vehicles in protest of the COVID-19 vaccine mandates. The call comes as the reportedly 50,000 Canadian truckers formed this past weekend heading into Canada's capital of Ottawa. The group has not set a date yet for when this convoy would start, but organizers and members have suggested that the protest begin in California and end in Washington, D.C. Quote, "We are part of many large groups who believe in our founding fathers," Convoy 2DC stated in its About section on its Facebook page. Quote, "We believe everyone has a voice. We support our freedom. Help us spread the word about this group, and together we can all make it a better place. God bless America." The Facebook group calling for the U.S. convoy has amassed more than 90,000 members and followers, up from its 67,000 as of Sunday, based on various media reports. While the group is asking for truck drivers and long haulers specifically to join the caravan, the page is filled with posts from non-truck drivers in support for the movement. Quote, "There are plenty of retired Americans with Airstreams and RVs that can join the trucker convoys," one user wrote. Quote, "They would be a great support team by cooking, providing supplies, and nice washrooms for the truckers," end quote. "Excellent idea. Everyone helps out," another user responded. "This will have to be the biggest convoy if it's going to be effective." And this is what is effective, is protesting. We've seen this all throughout, not just American history, but also Canadian history as well in various aspects. And the hope is that these protests bring to light this overreach of government. And we saw that here in America, where you had Joe Biden trying to implement mandates upon businesses to make sure their employees were vaccinated. And if they didn't do so, then they were going to apply penalties upon these businesses that would effectively shut them down, where the businesses couldn't afford these types of penalties. And luckily, we have a Supreme Court that has their freaking head on straight, that sat there and diminished Joe Biden's dreams of sitting there and hitting these American citizens with not getting the vaccine mandate. So thank God for our Supreme Court here. Thank God for the republic that we have here in America for stopping this vaccine mandate from Joe Biden. The hope is that the Canadians wake up there and stop this vaccine mandate from Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister, the dictator of Canada. With that being said, folks, this is all the news I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of The Bald Brad Show and bring awareness to this caravan that is taking place in Canada. With that being said, folks, I'll see you a little bit later here on The Bald Brad Show.